Coming up on Network Africa, Maiduguri bomb blast claims at least 28 lives in separate attacks, one near a mosque in the capital. Central African Republic prepares for general elections on Wednesday the 30th, 2015, as many hope the polls will end years of inter-religious violence. From the prison to the Grammy list of Best World Music Album, Malawi Prison Brass Band gets nominated for the first time ever. This is Network Africa. Hello and welcome to Network Africa. Let me start by wishing you compliments of the season. I am Adeshewa Josh. Africa has mostly been in the celebratory mood, but we have a few stories over the weekend we believe you should hear about. So let's bring you the summary of those that made the headlines over the weekend.
Death by the whiskers for Benin Republic's Prime Minister Leonard Shinzo, as he walked away without any injury as he survived a helicopter crash while traveling in the country's northwest. The spokesman for Benin Republic Interior Ministry, Leon Zubaji, said that the helicopter crashed while landing at a stadium in the city of Jugu. It is unclear why the helicopter carrying Prime Minister crash-landed in a stadium. Earlier this month, Mr. Shinzo confirmed he would run as a candidate in Benin's 2016 presidential elections. In Mali, Islamist fighters killed 10 Tuareg rebels in 2 attacks near northern Mali's border. 6 fighters from the National Movement of the Liberation of Azawad, northern Mali's largest Tuareg rebel group, were killed when Islamist militants attacked their checkpoint in the town of Talahandak. In November, 19 people, most of them foreigners, were killed in an assault on a luxury hotel in the capital Bamako. Islamist groups Akim, Al-Murabitu, and the Masina Liberation Front all claimed responsibility for the attack. Finally, the government of Guinea named mining executive Mamadi Yula as Prime Minister on Saturday as part of a strategy to revive the West African nation's ailing economy. Guinea is a major producer of bauxite and aluminum ores, and a 2-year Ebola epidemic that killed more than 2,500 people and has also driven away some investors. In a government statement, the nomination of Mamadi Yula, a senior Guinean executive in the private sector and administration, confirms President Alpha Conde's new push to support job creation and training to reinforce Guinean businesses.
Now, no fewer than 28 people have died in 2 separate attacks in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital. One of the blasts occurred near a mosque in Sulemanti area behind the Central Bank of Nigeria, while the other targeted a residence behind an internally displaced people's camp known as Bakassi, killing all 18 members of the family. Hospital sources say at least 75 people are receiving treatment from wounds sustained from the explosions. The injured are mostly worshippers from the Sulemanti Mosque, who were attacked shortly after the early morning prayers. The blast comes as Nigeria declares a technical defeat of Boko Haram. Let's get the latest on this story from our correspondent, Blessing Tuna, who joins me from the capital of Borno State with the latest. Thank you so much for making our time to speak to us on Network Africa.
Thank you.
Well, Blessing, what more do we know about this blast? I believe you are with me, Blessing. What more can you tell us about this blast?
Thank you very much. Just a while ago, the general officer commanding the 7th Division of the Nigerian Army here at Maiduguri was telling us about what the Army has been doing between yesterday and today. And we understand that about 14 female suicide bombers tried to force their way into Maiduguri, but then 7 were gunned down, and 3 actually blew themselves up in that encounter, during that encounter with the army. And then 3 escaped and fought their way into the capital city. This morning, one of them reportedly entered the house around Suleiman C area and asked for water to perform ablution. And then the next thing, there was an explosion just near a mosque. And during that encounter, one person reportedly died and then 13 were injured. Almost at about the same time, another area, a suicide bomber entered a residence and blew herself up, and then 18 persons died. And this is coming at a time when residents, because there's been a ban on vehicular movement, which is the normal thing here in Maiduguri during festive period. There's always a ban on vehicular movement, and residents can only walk on foot, except for security operatives or people on essential services. So this is coming at a time when residents' life was about to pick up, and then this incident is happening. So between yesterday and today, a total of 28 persons died, because yesterday you recall that there was an encounter too in Polo area of the state capital,
right,
when insurgents tried to force their way into Polo. There were shooting, there were explosions, and as of this morning, the report we got was 9 people died yesterday. So between yesterday and today, we have a total of 28 casualties. And then right about now, earlier in the morning, we learned 72 people were injured. But right now, 8 people, hospital forces say they are treating 88 people who sustained injuries in all of those encounters.
Blessing, before I quickly move on to my next question, the trend has been female suicide bombers. What more do we know about this particular set of suicide bombers?
Well, we understand that there are young girls between the ages of 12 and 18. That's what we're meant to understand. And then from some of the debris we saw, the pictures we saw, there are young girls between the ages of 12 to 18. Usually when such incidents happen, you get to figure them out when, by the time people come up to claim the corpses of their relatives, you discover that only the suicide bombers, no one comes to claim them. That's how you're able to know that these are actually the culprits. They are little girls between the ages of 12 to 18.
Now, give us a feel of the mood in Borno State this festive season. Are the people free to move around? What's the security arrangement like?
Yes, people are free to move around. Actually, a lot of people thought curfew was going to be slammed on us here, but thankfully no curfew was slammed. People are able to move around, except for the area where the army had an encounter with some of the suicide bombers who blew themselves up. That's from the entrance of Maiduguri through Damboa. So all that area has been cordoned off by the security, but people are moving around, and the mood is quite gloomy. A lot of people traveled for Xmas, and those that didn't travel, they've been indoors all these days because the market has been closed and all of that. And then a lot of people are actually trying to, those that came for Christmas in Maiduguri are actually rushing to get out of the town as soon as they can before anything like curfew, comes up. People are just trying to go about their normal activities, but
all right,
people see that the mood is quite gloomy.
Understandably so, Blessing. So you do know that last week the federal government said that it has technically defeated Boko Haram. You have reported largely on the activities of the group for some time now. What's your assessment of the war in that area, being the home of the insurgents?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
I asked you that, last week the federal government come out to say that we have technically defeated Boko Haram. And I do know that you have reported largely on the activities of the group for some time now. What is your assessment of the war in that area?
What I think about the effort of the army here is, I think the capacity of Boko Haram to attack has been greatly degraded, because these days you find them doing a lot of attacks on soft targets. They hardly come out to engage the army. You hardly find them engaging them in shootouts and all of that. They have resorted to attacking soft targets, before now it wasn't so. So I really think their capacity has been greatly degraded, and the suicide bombings is the only thing that they can resort to right now.
All right there. Blessing Tuna giving us the latest on the Borno bomb blast. Thank you so much for making our time to speak to us on Network Africa. Let's take a short break. When we come back, after enduring series of delays, Central African Republic will go to the polls on Wednesday the 30th. Find out how the government is preparing ahead of the elections in just a moment.